Picture, if you will, for all intended purposes, 5 psychics coming together in one room, and one guy who doesn't know why he's even here but got top billing on this show no matter what. You have entered the psychic news universe. Hey, I'm Rob Acampora. Welcome aboard. This is going to be something that's going to be going on a month-to-month basis, maybe even sooner. But you're going to get a roundtable discussion of some interesting topics. We will look into the cards. We will look into the future. It's for entertainment. Have some fun with it. But it'll be interesting to see what we can come up with. We're going to go round table. I'll introduce you last only because I've known you the longest. So with our panel today, let us go overseas, I believe, to Rick Paul. Rick is a guy who is the author of the book Green Thoughts, which is right now, Graceful Thoughts, which is available on Amazon right now. Rick, welcome. Well, where are you overseas, my friend?
I'm in Lincoln, England, and it's very, very snowy here today.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, we've managed to avoid a lot of that here on the Jersey Shore, a lot of that snow. And do you still tour the country as far as doing what you do?
Yeah, been doing that now for the best part of 7 years, and it's been an amazing journey. Really enjoy it.
How often do you come to the States?
Never been.
We need to rectify that for sure. We'll get that rectified. Rick, thanks for coming on board. We will go to the lady we like to call TD. This is Tarot Destiny. And you spent 35 years doing something else. What made you finally decide to commit yourself to this world?
Well, after I had some health issues in 2020, I went through this huge, massive spiritual awakening. And I was called to do this. And I work with my angels, guides, and ancestors and try to channel their information to me through the cards.
And they can find you on Instagram. What's the Instagram handle?
Tarot Destiny altogether.
Very good. TD, welcome aboard. Let's
you.
go to the Panhandle in Florida. We've got ourselves Florida Tarot Apprentice. Now, you know this lady really well, so why don't you set me up how you two got together?
So, Debbie started following me on Florida Tarot Apprentice. Started following me on YouTube, and I teach a class in tarot, and so I brought her in, encouraged her to come into class, and she's one of my finest students. She's amazing. Has come a long way, and she's one of my brightest lights in the class because every time she gets something, she goes, "Oh, I get it! Oh, it's coming together." So she has a teaching background, so her enjoying my class and doing so well, I lean on her a lot for if the curriculum's flowing and everything. So she's been an amazing support to me, and I'm so thrilled that she's coming on and getting out of her comfort zone. But she's a gifted psychic. She's an amazing reader, and she's just going to get better and better. And this is just a level up for her.
See, you're doing the job better than I could. That was beautiful. Oh, well done. Well done.
Well, they rubbed off. 30 years of knowing.
Absolutely. We thank you for the Panhandle to be a part of this. And the last part of the round table is the lady I've known for I can't believe I'm saying this, nearly 30 damn years.
We were so cute when we were younger.
Yeah, I remember you with pink hair, for God's sake. Now everybody's like, "Oh, wait a minute, she had pink hair." Yeah, and a bit of a mohawk, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Every now and then, I feel like getting it.
Annabelle is from Fortune Cookie Tarot. You can find her on her YouTube channel. You also follow her website,
fortunecookiestarot.com.
And she was doing something before we even got started. It was kind of like a quick read of the cards to see what are the chances of this show's success. Go to the cards. What did you see?
So we're just going to make this nice and big so everybody can
see. There we go.
So we did predict that there was going to be a little bit of anxiety, and I think we figured out what the anxiety is. We're missing one of our news team. So Thor Sandalwood was going to be a part of the show today. I don't know if he's having connectivity issues because of the storms that they had in California and Mexico. But hopefully if he pops in, we're going to bring him up. Mm-hmm. He's a valued member of this team. But so before we started, I had actually asked everybody, Rick and I were talking yesterday, and I said, no one's done a reading on this. Like, we're all psychics. Like, what the hell? And Rick was like, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. So we did a quick spread before we started, and we got this cute little page of cups and a cute little page of wands. And both of those the way I teach it, I tell my students the aces are the job listing is there. You send your resume in, but the pages are it's your first day of work and we're going to get busy. So we're all coming with good heart to this. It's going to be, we're all in the right place. Everybody that's on here that's a psychic our main goals as psychics are to uplift and help people and guide them through life. Rick calls himself a therapeutic medium, which I think is such an amazing term. I love that. I've always called myself, a therapeutic tarot specialist, a spiritual counselor. I think that, the practice of doing divination and psychic work is really to help people live their best lives. Do we get calls? Am I going to meet the love of my life at Bar A in Belmar, New Jersey?
I would imagine you guys get that more than anything else, more of the love stuff.
Love and work is mine. What about you guys?
Mostly love, work.
Yep.
TD?
That's it. Love, work, money.
Rick?
I mostly get all the awkward buggers that are sort of set in their ways and think about the irresistible force meeting the immovable object, and we've got to clash over something to clear a block. So I get all of the strong-minded people, and I don't do cute and fluffy.
Well, let me ask this, Rick. I mean, when you get those blocks, how do you break them down? Because, look, I'm the novice in this whole thing, so I would be somebody you probably would have to break down a little bit to open my mind. And obviously, I have an open mind because I'm here, but let's say I had more resistance. So how do you break that down to make them go, you can believe, you can see what I see?
Well, I always look at it this way, that everybody's got a storyline. Everybody's got their own different experiences. So it is kind of like counseling when you start out, when you're doing professional readings, is what is the person's storyline? One of my hobbies over the years has been listening to people's stories. And I have a simple answer. Whatever the storyline is, whoever you are as a person, and you give me your storyline and I listen and pick out relevant parts of it and then say, right, so you've accepted that as your fact. And then what? And that is my simple answer to every piece of therapy that I ever do. Whatever the storyline is, okay, if that's what you've accepted as fact in your life, and then what? And where do you want me to go with you with that storyline? And then gradually, I see it like a horse going around a track. The first time, you let you run free. The second time, as you come round, I shall start throwing things in there because you'll have repeated a certain phrase or you'll have come out with a certain sort of tick in your body language or something like that as we tap into the energy centers. And on the third time, you'll jump in way ahead of me and go, right, I see where we're going with this. So it's all about listening to the story and acting on the evidence that you're being given from the person.
It's funny, I can connect with that on so many different levels, especially somebody who's done a lot of interviews. One of the keys I've always found, you do listen. You have to listen to what the person is saying. Try to connect with them. And like you said, for me, I get my best questions when I'm listening to what they're saying, because sometimes you have this plan in your head of where you're going to go, but then they give you something that you can go along with them, and then suddenly you're with them on the ride. And I think it's the same thing for you. You're with them and guiding them and hopefully coming to a better place in time.
Absolutely. It's the love of doing it as well. And I think just picking up on what you said there, the biggest key for the work that I've done is just being open to it, because no two readings are exactly the same, and people's understanding it. So it's building rapport with them and finding out how far they want to go with it, because I may well pick up on something that they're not willing to discuss or talk about. So this is where you build that rapport and find out what they actually want to do about it. Because spirit, or the universe as I would know it as, are non-judgmental and non-coercive. So what they're using me for is that conduit to get into that person's energy, into their psyche. And then as the ex-prison officer in me I just use the skills that I've got, which was putting keys in locks and opening doors.
I love that.
I do. No. They see, as somebody who's sort of the novice, that opened the door. I'd be like, going, Rick, go ahead. Let's talk, because that's very inviting. To me, that's inviting. And if that's the whole idea with all this, then it's going to be something that will invite everybody to the dance. So We look forward to having everybody come on board. This is our pilot episode. We're going to give you a couple of topics that we're going to look into very carefully so we can clear that board, right?
We can clear the board. Well, just to wrap it up.
Yeah.
So, we're all moving on to a different thing with the Six of Swords here. The Six of Swords for you. This is like a rescue card. We're going from rocky waters to smooth waters. There's a little bit of anxiety again because we've got one of our party is not here. But it happened to.
Well, I got anxiety because I'm with 4 psychics. I mean, come on, let's get that straight.
How did you not see that coming?
Really? Come on, did you not see that coming?
It's a little bit of anxiety. We had to adjust it, but all together, this is going to be a great project. So, the 10 of Pentacles. This is what we call like the legacy card. This is, the Kennedy compound. People have built wealth. They've built notoriety. They have built a strong castle around them. And the imagery on the Rider-Waite deck is an older gentleman with all of his children and his grandchildren surrounding him. There's dogs, there's grapes, there's pentacles falling from the sky, and they're in this big, beautiful castle, which is sanctity and serenity. So this, I think, is a good thing. I think we've got a great team together. I think everybody on here is incredibly talented. We all have different skill sets. So let's take a look at some hot news, guys.
And you kind of set me up perfectly without even knowing it. By the way, Kennedy will be mentioned at some point during this recording. So with that in mind, you mentioned Castle. We got to go overseas. King Charles making news over the last few days. Of course, if you haven't heard by now, and if you're not following the royals, then you would not know this, but I'd rather you all know this. The cancer diagnosis that came out just a couple of days ago. Word is from a lot of different sources that Charles personally informed his 2 sons before the public announcement that came out that the king is receiving treatment for some form of cancer. Do we know? No word yet. Charles did have a procedure done on January 26th for a benign large prostate. They're saying it's not prostate cancer. All we know is that the Duke of Sussex, Harry, took this 26-hour flight to visit the king, and reports have said, okay, the meeting was as little as 12 minutes to as much as an hour. And as far as Prince William goes, we do know he's next in line in this whole thing. Not that we're wishing ill on King Charles, but as we take a look at what's going on through your eyes and through the cards, what does this mean for the royals at this point? TD, I'm going to start with you. What do you got for me?
I think that Camilla's gonna give him a run for his money when he tries to take over, and she's gonna wait. Camilla's gonna wait until King Charles really can't do anything about it, and then make her move.
She's sort of forgotten link in this whole thing because you don't hear her being mentioned by any of the media right now. It's all about the king and the 2 sons.
Right.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, another piece of the puzzle is that Camilla, the readings that I've done on her, I think that she does have some kind of physical ailment. There is a public knowledge that she has a back issue that causes her some discomfort.
But do we know exactly what's causing it? Is it sciatica?
A few months ago, they said she was having a breast cancer thing.
Ooh.
So, it's kind of multi-layered. And then we have Fergie, who's got breast cancer and melanoma now. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of that going on. Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff going on. So I just pulled this on the royal family, just in general. And just for Rob's understanding and for anyone who's new to this,
please,
this 7-card spread that I do, and I teach this to my students as well. It's kind of a chronology.
Okay.
But this is a dominant energy. This is what's out in the open. This is what we know, what maybe is in the news, what people are talking about openly.
Some of the information I just gave. Okay.
This is the secret stuff down here.
Okay.
So for me, this looks there's a lot going on. There's a lot of activity. I've got 5 of Wands, 5 of Swords. The 5s are places of flux. Things are happening there. Mm-hmm. The Chariot card is moving forward. Wheel of Fortune, it's either good, it's either bad, it's either good, it goes around and around. This Star card, I'm going to throw it out to everybody there. The Star card, if it's in the under the surface, deep, dark secrets here, it's in reverse. What do you guys think?
Yeah, let me go out. Let's go down to the Panhandle, Florida. What do you got?
Well, upright, it's very, very good. In reverse, I get the feeling that there's a lot of I can't think of the word.
Hesitation is kind of what I'm getting.
There's one foot's in the water, one foot's on land, so it's like a balancing act of something.
I think they're less than hopeful right now.
Yeah.
I hate to say it.
Lost hope.
Yeah.
The star in reverse. Yeah.
Rick, chime in. I mean, you know more than probably some of us just from being overseas.
Well, Matt, to be truthful, and this was what was going to be interesting about this style of recording and this style of work. I don't actually follow the news.
That's it. Okay, no, that's honest and that's interesting.
What I'm actually going to do is pick up on the energy of the cards as they're laid down there, and this is where I'm slightly different with the what I would call stated tarot readers, where they've trained in what the cards actually mean. Mine just tell me a story. I connect in with my energy, and I've had training on tarot, but it's not like where I would go, this is 100% tarot reading. So my feelings are at the moment is that I was listening to my words there, and my guide's coming in with smoke and mirrors, a lot of infighting, a lot of backbiting behind the scenes, and it's throwing up. It's almost like mudslinging, and it's the strongest one that's rising above that level. So I would say if in the hierarchy structure, obviously you've got the king at the top of that hierarchy structure, but he's lost his power or he's lost his place, and you've got everybody sort of chipping in their 4 penneth worth. So it's a battleground when I'm looking at these cards. And when I looked at the Wheel of Fortune there, I felt like it was spinning backwards and forwards. So there's no clear direction. And when I looked at the star card, which is supposedly about healing and lighting pathways for people, when I read for it, it's being blocked. So there's people there that are working to their own agenda. They're not being cooperative. There's a lot going on there. And the Chariot is, for me, is almost like going along blindly. There's nobody steering the ship. So I truthfully think when we're looking at that spread there, that we're not going to get any clear answers anytime soon. And I think Harry's involvement with it energetically he's almost, for me, and this might sound controversial already, he's picking over the bones of a corpse.
Yeah.
There, and he's what he's going to get out of it.
Agree.
Money, that's all he's after.
So a lot of fighting, a lot of blocking, and a lot of smoke and mirrors. So I don't think we're getting a true perspective at the moment.
Well, you bring up two things that are very important when you talked about all this. It reminded me of what TD had just said a few minutes ago. Camilla's whole thing. Is she the force that's going to be the thing that maybe divides this whole thing? And then the second part, as we talk about Harry, who has tried and you know this better than anybody, Anna, has decided to separate himself from the royals really for the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
So why would he inject himself back into this mess? Where's his motivation, so to speak?
So the reports today, and some of the chatter that I saw on YouTube and on the other social media channels, there's a question of whether he was summoned or if he flew himself.
Right.
There are two pieces that were very interesting. He did fly on British Airways, which is not his airway of choice. He typically flies on American. And the speed of the trip, also three questions. The police support that he got when he was there. He's, those of us that follow know that he's been fighting for police security when he goes to England. Yeah. He was allegedly purported to have offered to pay for it himself, and there was a whole brouhaha about it. I am leaning into, and I did do a reading on it the other day, and I felt it was the conversation was a bit different from what I'm going to say now. I think that he was summoned. I think he was asked to go there. I pulled a few more cards while everybody was giving their piece. I agree with Rick that I think the chariot is running wildly. It's careening towards something. And I feel that that's the players that are involved. This Wheel of Fortune absolutely is spinning wildly. I like this Queen of Swords. She's in reverse. Now, the Queen and King of Swords, all the swords, their communication, when it goes in reverse, it's usually negative communication.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. I appreciate that.
I think
Messages.
I think he was summoned. I think he was given some very bad news about his position. The Justice card and the Seven of Swords in reverse with the Eight of Wands in reverse. I think he was told the titles are going within 6 months. The Devil is in reverse. In the words of Piper Laurie, the devil has come home.
I know that line.
and Rob, a lot of tarot readers, Famous Fortunes, some of the other, larger channels, they get the Devil for Meghan Markle. The Devil is about things that you're stuck with.
Right. But it's interesting you call it that, because there are a lot of people who follow the royals that do feel Meghan Markle has basically taken Harry out of the whole thing, and they're blaming her for that.
Yes.
Right.
I think he was told the titles are going within 6 months. Get your affairs in order. We're pulling the titles. So
basically he will no longer be the Duke of Sussex, is what you're thinking.
Yes, it's my understanding that because he is a prince of the blood, the prince can never go away.
Right.
But
right. That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
So he can be a prince abroad, but the dukedom is what affords him money from the Duchy of Cornwall. Am I saying that right, Paul? Is it Rick? Is it Cornwall or Cornwall? Cornwall. Okay. So I think the money got pulled out. If you look, there's no money here. We're not talking about money. This is all power and prestige. Yeah. This healing card up here, the Four of Swords, is usually rest, recuperation, and healing. It's in reverse. So I think this was an order of business that needed to be addressed by the institution of the royal family so that the king can get on with what he needs to get on with. That's kind of how I see it. You guys have anything to add on that?
Yeah, let's go. Apprentice, please.
Well, the one thing that stood out to me on the Five of Swords in reverse, there's always that one sword that is in reverse. So I'm wondering if the king has got something else going on. I don't know, as far as what he's going to do. It's like he said what he had to say, and I'm just wondering that there's that one sword that's sort of on the side. I'm trying to look at that as well as I can, and I just feel that there's something more that's going to come out. There's something more that's going to be done, I should say.
Yeah. TD, what do you got?
Well, that card, the Five of Swords, reminds me of Harry for some reason.
Yeah. It's a redhead too.
He's going to win at all costs. He is hiding behind,
digging his heels in. I think, I'm sorry, TD, that I'm cutting you off, but I got very, very much the sense that once this information was delivered, he left with his panties in a bunch, face like thunder, and he's calling his attorneys when he gets back to the United States. I think we may see an attempt to secure a title and funds from the crown by legal means, which is going to be really interesting. I don't know if that's ever happened before.
Not that I know of, to be honest with you.
Because the Four of Pentacles in reverse, right, would be about greed, wanting to hold on to it, not wanting to let go. Yep.
Yeah. We're going to see some interesting things out of Windsor, Buckingham Palace. We're going to see some interesting things.
Rick, what's your feeling? What are you vibing on this?
I'm really drawn to that swords card at the end as well, because I always look at when I hold a card, I believe that there's an energy that comes from the card as well as the ability that you're taught to read the card. And one of the things that I've always picked up on that card is the person concerned who's directly in the foreground there doesn't care about anybody else other than himself or herself, as it might well be. So they're not bothered about collateral damage. They're not bothered about upsetting or ruffling feathers or anything like that. So as you guys have been talking, my sense with all of this is that he was summoned, and I agree with that. And I think there was an ultimatum delivered. You know, that if he steps back into the fold, he will be accepted, but he's got to dispense with everything else that is the distraction. So it's almost like the hierarchy structure that's expected of a royal, right? You've got to conform to it. You've got to play ball. And it's almost like he's being held to ransom. That was my feeling when you guys were talking. And I'm thinking, God, there's so much more to come out of this. And as soon as you mentioned about the dealing with the legal side of things, that my ears really pricked up. Now I think this is going to be a massive crap storm. It really is. That everybody, it's almost like an erupting volcano. And the sense with Camilla there is, for me, she's trying to pull everybody in. And play the mediator to a certain point, but because she's not blood, that she's going to have a limited impact. I think she's got the respect to pull people in and quieten it down, but I don't think she's got the overall power to. I mean, no disrespect, and I promise I'm not stereotyping here, because my wife is the strength in our house. But she will be the negotiator, whereas I'm the very, very much blunt one. But I think in her case there, she's not the boss. King Charles is. And it's pretty much everybody sort of pecking around to see what they can pick up out of this. But I definitely get the sense there's an ultimatum been delivered, and it's not gone down well at all. It's like a hand grenade's gone in the middle of it.
It's a fascinating.
I also think King Charles has had cancer for longer than was reported. I don't know. Just looking at him, he doesn't look well.
I think what's fascinating is the outside forces that you all have talked about. They may not play prevalently, but they're definitely important. Camilla, Meghan Markle, who's been ostracized on so many levels in this whole thing. And then we talk about lawyers. So you're talking about 3 outside factions that are playing into this more than even I would have thought. So, like you said, there is a shitstorm possibly coming, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think so. Ishstorm.
Ishstorm.
Like
Storm,
Ishtar.
yes.
Ishtar, right. What do you want? What a perfect way to wrap up that segment. Thank you very much.
So, I think this is going to be a very evolving story. I don't think we're going to hear the last of it, but and I brought that timing deck out for everybody because we all love timing, don't we?
Well, I think we just had comedic timing there, so there you go. I will learn the lingo, I promise. And see, now I feel like the McLaughlin group when we broke up. Issue 2, election 2024. The battle over the 14th Amendment is going on as we speak with hashtag 45. And also tonight, the Nevada caucuses will be going off. Not to be confused with the Nevada primary that just happened 2 days ago, which, by the way, none of the above won. Yes. But tonight's caucuses, 45 will more than likely get all 23 delegates. Don't try to add them up and come up with 68. We'll just explain that this is just all numbers. But in the meantime, Nikki Haley still has 17 delegates. It takes 12-15 to get the nomination. Have I done too much math at this point? I don't know. Good. All right. Because there are more numbers to come up here. 91 criminal charges in 4 different cases for 45. $88 million. There's the big number. That 45 owes another certain person. And if that weren't enough, there's the South Carolina primary coming up in a couple of weeks, which recent polls by Mom of the University has more numbers. 45 at 58 and Haley at 32. Hike. And then there's the Democratic side of this whole thing. And Biden recently mixing up dead politicians with live politicians twice in a span of 72 hours. And if that weren't enough, one last thing on numbers. A 5-way poll that has come out recently. Yeah, I went 5-way. And the only good 5-way, by the way, is when you get chilly at Skyline in Cincinnati, but that's another story altogether. RFK was in the poll. Cornel West and Jill Stein's in the poll. You still have 45 up 5 points on Biden. But the interesting part of it is that 5-point margin is more because of the two extraneous left-leaning candidates, Cornel West and Jill Stein. So, panel, as I put it this way, what does this mean? Yeah, I know, I'm asking a lot. What does this mean for the future of this election cycle?
She's going to throw the whole deck down.
Yeah, there we go. Throw the whole deck down. That'd be perfect. And by the way, don't do us any numbers. No, I'm kidding. Rick, I'm going to hold you last because I know I want you to get a feel for all this. But why don't Anna? I'm going to start with you real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, what do you feel on all this before you even put the cards down?
So, lots of psychics say that we're not having an election.
Whoa, time out.
Yeah, lots of psychics are saying
What? It's being canceled? Is this a rain delay in Major League Baseball or something? What are you talking about?
Yeah. So, I recently did a reading on Pootie. We're not allowed to say his name either.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, but remember something. I think of that. I'm thinking of the Tom Cruise movie. Well, with whatchamacallit? Come on, the agent movie.
You're gonna say Pootie.
Top Gun?
No.
I didn't see that movie.
But he plays the agent.
Show me the money.
That one, because remember in the one part of the movie, he's like, I didn't shop the booty.
Oh, I went to Tropic Thunder.
Oh. Perfect.
We don't negotiate with terror.
Yeah, meanwhile, Tom Cruise is not in that movie. No, he's not. Oh, he is. You're right. He's the agent. Oh my God, that's right. I forgot. He played that so well. He was in so much prosthetics. I forgot.
That was the best role ever. So yeah, there's a lot of psychics that say we're not going to have an election in the United States. That the efforts that have been put forth are to really gum up the works. So I think if we start with, are we having an election here in the United States? Rick, get some pull-out beds, get some blow-up mattresses. We're all coming to stay with you.
Exactly. Yes.
We don't care about the snow. We'll shovel snow. We don't care.
Right. Meaning
Okay.
I can stop at 3-1. Anyway.
3-1. Yeah, there you go. They'll love your accent.
Yeah. And the cards are coming down. Here we go.
Are we having an election? Ace of Swords.
Yes.
2 of Swords in reverse, ladies and gentlemen. King of Wands. Who is that guy? Ace of Wands. The Hermit card.
Is that RFK Jr.?
I don't know. It might be Big Mike.
Oh, might be Big Mike. Okay.
So what do we have here, guys? 9 of Swords in reverse for our dominant energy. We got the Hermit there learning from all the stuff that we know to date. And we have the King of Pentacles in reverse underneath as our less dominant energy. Let's start with TD. You want to help me out on this one? We'll talk about these swords, the clash of the titans that we have at the beginning.
Sure. Well, I think the question, are we going to have an election? Ace of Swords is yes, we will.
Yeah.
I think that there's going to be some scuffle about
contention.
Who's on the ballot, who's not on the ballot, blah, blah, blah. But then moving forward, the King of Wands and the Ace of Wands indicate also that those are both yes cards to the question. And the Hermit is looking at things from a different or a higher perspective, or isolating yourself and, doing introspection. So there's going to be a lot of thinking, I believe, over the whole process. And I just don't think it's going to go the way it's supposed to, because the Pentacles on the King of Pentacles, we're losing money.
Yeah, we're moving
right
around,
there. Yeah,
losing money.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, sweetie.
I'm sorry. And then up above, I think there's a lot of anxiety by the whole country over this election.
Yeah. But I think we see the relief coming. We see
Really?
things kind of sorting itself out.
No, wait. TV just said really. I'm curious. Go ahead. What do you see?
It's not what I see. It's just kind of what I feel. Yes, I mean the nine of swords upright is anxiety, and in reverse it is kind of a relief from that. But I just feel a lot of anxiety from everyone with this election.
Let's go to Florida.
The energy I'm getting is a lot of anxiety, a lot of chaos,
Yes.
turmoil. That's what I'm feeling right now. There is going to be an election, but I do not believe it's going to be like anything we've ever seen. If we thought, what was the last crazy one? Oh, down in my state.
Yes, very good point. Going back to 2000, sure.
Where they couldn't figure out how to punch a hole. So I just get a lot of chaos and a lot of anxiety, and it's just not going to go the way we all think it's supposed to go.
Rick, what you're feeling now after hearing all this?
Right, again, it's another thing just looking at the cards, because I don't follow politics in any form or another. So I feel like I can play devil's advocate there. Please. When I looked at the Ace of Swords there, for some reason, because I'm on with American people, my head immediately went into WWE land with the wrestlers and about certain profiles, certain wrestlers that were renowned for politicking in the background and not doing it in an honest and open way. So when I looked at the Ace of Swords, when I read the Ace of Swords, I call it, and what was it? Ish, we have to say, for when we're going to swear.
Yes,
well, it's my BS detector. It cuts, because swords for me are that cut through. They cut through the illusion. So there's a lot of people politicking on their own behalf, and they're not working with the collective. And I'm seeing the Two of Swords there, sat there with, we're kind of like in suspended animation. There's a big block there, but neither, or however many you've got, are willing to put themselves out there and say, this is what we truly stand for. They're kind of juggling with it, because I don't think anybody's truthfully being honest. So that deadlock is going to remain, because it's hanging around, because nobody's being honest. And then when I'm looking through the Wands cards there, I think there's potential, but I don't know what your guys' interpretation is of your governments. But is there any potential for people working together? Because I get that even within the parties, that there's infighting going on there.
Oh yeah.
And as you say with the Hermit card for me is all about introspection. But when I looked at that card on the end, straight away, as soon as you turn that card over, I went, well, I'll tell you who's going to win it. Money talks. Money talks. Whoever's got the biggest bank balance is the one that's going to ride roughshod over everybody else. And and it is going to cause a huge amount of sorrow and anxiety to the majority. So there's something out there, what I'm picking up, that we've got words unsaid, or there's something in the background that is not being very clear, but somebody's going to ram that through. And that's my perspective on the cards, rather than knowledge of politics, by the way. Which is,
I love the wrestling analogy. As somebody who follows wrestling, it's really good, because think about it. I'm going to break it down. The champion is Roman Reigns. His tagline is "Acknowledge me." Doesn't that sound like #45? We start with that. Then you've got The Rock. Right, exactly. There you go. Then you got The Rock, who had rumored that he would run for president. So there's the other second thing. And then you talk about little outside factors that are going on. We recently had one guy who was supposed to be up for the world title, and suddenly now he's not wrestling because of outside factors. So in other words, politics is a wrestling match.
Yep.
We've proven this. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Neat segue.
Yes, definitely.
It's like the Wild West in the government right now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. No, cards are not. It has definitely been the Wild West. I think what everybody's saying about the chaos factor, it's something that I've always believed was going to happen, but it never does. It always seemingly to align itself somehow. But yet this year, out of all the years, because you're potentially talking about 5 different candidates, with 2 of them representing smaller independent parties, but getting significant backing, like RFK Jr., like potentially Jill Stein and the Green Party. These factions could take votes away from either person. Seems like 2 will take away from the president. 1 could take away from 45. So when you talk about the chaos factor, we could take it one step further. The chaos could be nobody on election night wins this, that nobody has enough electoral votes to win this. And then, Rick, I don't know if you realize this, then it comes to a vote in Congress to determine who the president is. And Congress could potentially vote for somebody who did not have the most popular votes and the most electoral votes.
Yeah.
And I know you put more cards up. So what do you got? Yeah.
So, well, here's something very interesting. Sylvia Brown. Do you remember Sylvia Brown
I do.
from Montel Williams?
Yes.
Sylvia Brown, world famous. She was a psychic medium.
Yes.
Has since passed away. She had predicted at one point that the United States government would no longer have the one-party presidency. They would have a 2-party presidency. It would be like a co-presidency, so that both, I hate to say extremes, but both extremes would get adequate representation in every administration, which I think is a very interesting kind of take on that. You have like 2 White Houses.
Well, there's something along that line, but not quite there. There's a couple of movements that are out there that are trying to have like a Democrat and a Republican come together on a ticket to run in this election. That hasn't happened yet.
That's what I think she was seeing. I think she was seeing something like that, because like I love Tulsi Gabbard. I think Tulsi Gabbard is really great. I thought it would be really curious. She had left the Democratic Party in the last year.
Right.
I thought it was going to be very curious if she buddied up with someone who was a conservative or
I'll give you an example that would make sense with a Tulsi Gabbard. Then you take the Democrat who runs more as a centrist, coming out of West Virginia, like Joe Manchin.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So when I put these other cards down here, so what I think this is, I think election, yes, we get an election. We do get one. However, we get the extended dance remix of we don't believe the votes that came in. So
could it also be the theory I just said, that nobody gets enough votes, that suddenly we're at a hung jury after election night?
Yes.
Okay.
There's going to be some kerfuffle here. We do eventually put someone in place, but with this Ace of Wands, the Ace of Wands is very interesting. The King of Wands, because wands represent a fire element, so it's spicy, it's exciting, it's bombastic. So we all know who the bombastic guy is. So it looks like we get him in there, but we get this refreshed version. So we get something different. So I think it's going to be very interesting if he does get on the final partner is going.
I don't think the dog agrees.
The dog doesn't know.
The dog doesn't have a say in this?
No,
okay.
He's a JFK'er.
RFK'er. Let's get that right.
Sorry. Well, JFK, there's talk that he's coming back, so I don't know.
Well, that's a trick.
I know. So I think that we get a different approach here. I think something very different comes to the fore when he actually gets in office. And I think there's going to be, if it's who I think it's representing here, I think it's going to be a softer, gentler version. I don't think we're going to get the same kind of bombacity that we had out of him. Is that a real word, bombacity?
Yeah,
I just made it up. It's a word now. It's on the internet. It's a word now.
That's right.
So up here, everybody can relax. This, whenever I read political readings, this is the song Happy Days Are Here Again. Happy days are here again. But we have a lot of unhappy people about it. We have a lot of emotion. There's going to be crying. There's going to be screaming. There's going to be drama. There's going to be people talking a lot of ish, but we get this sanctity and surety. We're going to see calmness right away. We're going to see a kerfuffle, and then we're going to see people level out and calm down, and you get what you get, and you don't get upset, or you exit the country like so many celebrities have said. So that's kind of what I think. But and I want to stress to Rob that, when we read tarot, it's the energies that are in place right now.
Right.
So this, if we were reading during a football game,
right,
and one team was up, we would get really positive cards, and say they turn it around at halftime.
Right.
I know nothing about sports. Rob knows that.
Yeah, that's true.
So, we would get some very different cards halfway through, or if someone gets injured halfway through the game, we would get some different cards on that person. So.
But that poses a very interesting question to everybody. If you're talking about energy, and we're talking about this election, most of the energy, I think, and I'm outside of this world that you guys are in, the energy on the outside is very negative. There's not a lot of positive feelings going on because you've got such separation going on. Yeah. You have two candidates, 45 being who he is, Biden approaching 82. So you got the age factor going in. There's no, I hate to say it this way, excitement. When you come to an election cycle, there's usually a candidate that somehow excites voters and brings an energy and can, as you say, bring some peace. I'm not feeling that. I mean, I would love to get everybody's take on that. TD, I'll start with you. Am I off base a little bit with that feeling, or where do you sit on that?
I'm sorry. Could you go to the next person? I'm having dog issues.
All right, no problem. You gotta hate it when the dog got that opinion about that. We go to Florida. Hello, our apprentice. What do you got?
Mine are sedate right now, so I'm happy. I agree. There's a lot of negativity, and because there's so much going on, worldwide, and it's.
Well, nothing's.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Finish.
Nothing's gone. This election cycle is different from anything I've seen in all my years on this earth. Things are not going the way that they usually do. We've not had the debates that we always have. Biden's, I believe his team said he would not be doing any debates. So that brings into question, too, Biden's mental state.
No, it's a good point. Rick, I know you're getting a feel out of this, and you got a different perspective, kind of looking at us Americans and kind of going, what the hell's going on here? But the vibes you're getting, what do you sense as far as the negativity that I talk about?
I think it's, like I say, I've got very limited knowledge or interest, to be honest, about anything political. However, I think it's symptomatic of a more worldwide energy that's in flux, that there's a lot of turbulence going on around the world in various different factions. And you've got people there that we said in the earlier bit of this about that are politicking and grandstanding to get their message out there. And I've just restarted watching the X-Files and listening to you guys talking about all of the little bits there. My head's just going, the truth's out there somewhere.
Yeah.
It's just, at the minute, it's like having a load of squirrels in a bag, and we're shaking the squirrels up, and then we throw the bag out, all of the squirrels run up everywhere. So
that's the best analogy I have ever heard about an election. That is so true. That is so true.
If I was scoring the argument, Rick would have already won the contest. There you go.
That's right.
Acknowledge me.
Absolutely. Acknowledge him. Acknowledge him.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
When you talk about the world problems, then the man who's center in it is obviously the current president, Joe Biden. Anna, you got a reading on Biden.
I pulled some cards on Captain Joe Biden.
What has Captain Joe got here card-wise?
So, I'm just going to pull some clarifier cards up here because I don't know if that Four of Wands is a happy family,
right?
Happy situation, or if he just got some ice cream today. So,
well, his family's got some issues. We do know that. Yes, just saying.
Well, it is maybe in his mind everything is, happy. Who knows?
Yeah, you know what? I can't say much about that because in my mind I have a poodle on a unicycle juggling flaming torches. So that's what goes on in my mind all the time. So
I have hamsters on a wheel.
I hear hamsters on a wheel. Do I get unicorns and rainbows? Unicorns and rainbows, anybody?
What happens in the psychic mind?
Oh,
So,
really? Wow.
If I'm reading on him, this looks like he is not at work, but he's very happy. And this is why.
Yeah, please, because he doesn't come across as happy right now. No, he doesn't.
This is the Eight of Pentacles, is hard at work, being adept, being very good at your job. The Page of Swords is good communication, we know he hasn't been saying the right words. When these two are paired together and in reverse, that says that we're not really able to formulate the directives and the words to get our job done.
Okay.
So we're failing at this part of it. Now, the World card, this is for Rob. The World card is the final card of the Major Arcana. Tarot deck is made up of three parts. We have the Major Arcana, which is the major things in our life. It goes from card 0, the Fool, all the way up to card 21, which is really 22 because Fool 0. And that's the world, and that's completion. And that represents a journey of a soul from the ethereal into life, and then
okay, so I can learn something here. So that would be considered one of the highest cards in the deck, so to speak.
This is the highest card in the deck.
Okay.
This would be the most valuable, but it's also the conclusion of a lifetime. This is going into heaven, going beyond, and transferring into something else.
All right.
So this is the ending. This is coming to a close. Then we have the Hermit card, where we're alone and kind of ruminating on what we did. The King of Pentacles in reverse is all is lost. We have lost all of our ducats. We have lost our kingdom. We have lost the battle. We are standing alone. And this is something that I've seen in my readings about him, is that, you know, that scene in From Dusk Till Dawn, where Harvey Keitel is turning and all the vampires are kind of backing away. It's kind of that scene. So under here, he is trying to not have to figure out where to go with this Two of Pentacles. He doesn't want to have to travel down either road. He just wants to kind of stay in place. Once upon a time, I had someone very poorly advise me, when you can't make a decision about something, do nothing. That's really a bad idea.
Yeah, it really is.
Because you just wind up, you know, sitting in the middle of a chaotic situation. So I think he is just trying to like sit quietly with his hands folded and stay in place, and then nobody can move him. Possession is 9/10 of the law, right?
But this is interesting, because this is the Biden read, and you talk about this card. I would think the way you just described it, you're describing more 45 than Biden. Just saying from my perspective. Okay. But then you look at here, you talk about the end. You talk about the end. So there's a lot of ways I can assume the end. I could say the end of his presidency, the end of the Democratic run, or the end of maybe the Republicans even getting back into office. There's a lot of interpretation.
Could be the end of his life.
Could be the end of his life. Well, he is 80. I hate this.
Career.
Well, you got to figure it 82, but you can't assume. You're right. It could be a lot of different things. And
that's why we have this handy dandy little deck, because we can pull this out and say, what is this the end of? We'll get to that top part in a second, kids.
See, I'm trying to learn as I go along here, so bear with me.
So we get wands. Wands are typically our endeavors and our work things. So this is hanging on to the career. This is trying to not have this conclusion of the career, which would echo again this Four of Wands up top. We're staying in the White House. We're staying planted in there. Not thrilled about it. This isn't an ideal situation, because no one is really listening to us and our ideas with that Ace of Wands in reverse. But I'm still here. I'm still on the job.
Interesting.
Even if the Lover's card in reverse, no one is on my team, and my support system is failing me. I'm just going to smile and wave and pretend it's all good with that page.
Madagascar. Just smile and wave, boys. Just smile and wave.
Smile and wave.
Here's your
Get some ice cream.
Do you guys want to?
Here's some parting gifts.
TD, I heard you laughing earlier, so I want to get your take.
Okay. Biden. Okay. Well, I think it's the end of his career.
Okay.
That's the way I read it. I really think he is done. He is many, many examples of him forgetting people's names, forgetting where he is, calling people by the wrong name in their country. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. The man is obviously having some serious mental health issues. He can't be president.
Yeah.
Unless someone else is really president. He's just a puppet.
Right.
That's another reading.
That's
That's
a
another
complete other reading. But if you go down to Florida, there's a different take of it all. Apprentice.
Well, let's see. I have to agree with TD because, the man is, I just get very upset because to me, it's like elder abuse. He's talking about people that have been dead for 6 years. And it's
embarrassing.
My country is a laughing stock. And, I can't see this. I just can't see him going on because, obviously he really doesn't know where he is. And I have to take it empathetically. I think that's the word I want. It hurts me to watch this. He's suffering, there's something going on. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to diagnose anything, but there's something going on. And it just, it bothers me that people that are surrounding him are allowing it. And I just, I don't see him. This is it's the end, not the end of, God forbid, I'd never want to say the end of someone's life, but right. I just think it's the end of, he needs to go to the house, as they say in the South. He needs to go to the house. And
Rick, I know earlier you said you don't watch the news and you're not following the politics, but what are you feeling off the cards here?
Right. Are you familiar with the term post turtle?
No, please.
No. Right. So what a post turtle is when you walk past something, there's a post in the middle of the ground with a turtle stuck on the top of it. Right. Nobody knows how it got there. It's completely out of its depth, and it should be taken and put somewhere else because it's in the wrong place completely. It's out of context.
I love that.
So I'm looking at these cards, and I don't understand anything about reversals, but what the words that are coming through to me are that in the wrong place, dreamy and unrealistic, holding back the potential and the promise of others that can come in and sort it out. Elements of, and I'm not diagnosing either, but if you've got somebody that was displaying what you guys are saying, you'd have him tested for dementia or Alzheimer's or other mental health conditions. And somebody should be, if they're pulling his strings, should be just going, well, actually, the guy's coming to the end of his abilities, if you like. And from what I'm seeing with these cards, they've been stretched to the extreme anyway. So he's out of his depth when he started, and now there's a slow and painful deterioration. Yeah. And when I'm seeing that there with the Hermit card, my thoughts are immediately drawn to that he's retreating into himself. And if they're not careful and somebody doesn't take the sort of humanistic approach and just say, well, thanks for all that you've done or whatever it is that you need to do, but we're going to pull you out of there anyway. Because if he goes on and does that, and we get to the king stage there, it's going to be quite catastrophic, because I'm just seeing that nobody's going to be happy out of all of this. So there's somebody in the background that is pulling the strings, that is not looking after this guy's human welfare. And that's just my feeling on it. I don't know, because as I say, I don't know anything about the guy. He could walk past me on the street, have a clue, but he's out of his depth. That's what I'm going to finish with. And I've just managed to offend millions of Americans, and I'm not aware of that.
No. And Rick, you've been open and honest about, hey, look, I don't follow this. I'm not watching this, but it's interesting to get what you're vibing is the best way to describe it.
Don't get me started on Sunak.
Oh, no. We spoke about wooden spoons off air and not chewing through. No, don't.
So
There is a post turtle.
do a lightning round on the candidates real quick.
Sure, we can do that. We got time. What are you gonna do here?
You call a candidate. I'll throw down 2 cards, and everybody will give their take.
I like that. Okay, so lightning round. You know what? We've talked about the main 2. I want to throw a curveball in the mix. He's the independent, and right now is polling at about 18% of the vote. Nobody thinks he can win, but everybody thinks he could cause more damage than anybody. RFK Jr.
Judgment in reverse, Ace of Swords. Ladies and gentlemen, what are we feeling on him?
As you ponder, I'll go TD first. That's most people's feeling of the candidate, by the way, too. I'm kidding.
I don't know. I'm getting mixed feelings from those cards. Perhaps it's, there are people that are judging him that do not want him in office. But he wants to be in office. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that he is seen as a threat to the
establishment
agenda, yes, to the firm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He is worst case scenario for the establishment.
Yeah. And he brings truth, so.
And Cheryl Hines.
But it's interesting, TD, you're saying truth. There's a lot of young people that believe a lot of what he's saying is more truthful than what most of the politicians are saying. So it's interesting you brought that up.
Yeah.
I'm going to dub her FTA now from now on. I like that. FTA. She's cracking up.
I'm just laughing. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I like that. I kind of like that.
I'm glad.
I'm getting. I agree with TD also on that. That boy, is he a threat? People get nervous around him because he looks at things. Just the way he looks at things and issues the way people would, not politicians. I don't. A couple of times I've watched him, he doesn't come across as a politician to me. And I don't know. I feel like he wants to run, but I don't know. Judgment in reverse is throwing me off the card. I don't think he's gonna succeed to it because of the way the firm,
good way of putting it.
And
I pulled that 6 of Wands in reverse, so that's a big nope.
Yeah, because
Rick, I don't expect. Continue. Go ahead, FTA. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say they're not gonna allow him to run. That's the feeling I'm getting.
And that's interesting because the big question is if the Libertarian Party makes him his candidate, he'll get most of the states and be on the ballot, which would put him more in play, not necessarily a guy who can win, but now all of a sudden he becomes more of a player. Not a guarantee. And Rick, I don't know if you really know of RFK Jr. at all, so you're obviously just going to go on absolutely whatever vibes you're getting right now.
100%. And I agree with FTA there about that the judgment card there's in reverse. I mean, I don't do reverse, as I say, but it has kind of thrown me. So I'm just sort of putting it out to my guides, and I'm getting the feeling that he's expected to do what his family have traditionally done. So there's a line that is expected that he will tread down that political line, but inwardly he's actually fighting that. And I think that that's where the blockage will come, because I always put the words RE to judgment, looking at again. And I feel that restricted, and there's probably a need for a re-evaluation, that where the Ace of Swords comes in, that he needs to be prepared to speak his own truth. But if he's going to speak his own truth, he's going to be doing a lot of it on his own. So I get the sense with those cards that he's being held back, and with the other card there being upside down, which is a progressional card for me traditionally, and being acknowledged, that is telling me that he is ultimately going to be unsuccessful unless he changes. Because if you're a person of the people, that's not always going to be the best thing for the powers that be. We want people there that we can sort of put up on that pedestal, that's going to represent that. I'm sorry to say this, but this is my idea of politics, that represent the people with money, and everybody else can just jog along and basically pick up the scraps. So I'm looking at that he may well be the ideal candidate, and he would be a good outlay, but he'll never be allowed to do it because he's not going to stand in his own true light.
And it's interesting how he put that, because Rick has no real idea of this, but the Kennedy family leaning Democrat, a man who is definitely not staying to his traditional family political view and taking a different approach. And that's been probably the biggest question on RFK Jr. How genuine is he in this world, knowing full well that his family background has been so traditionally Democrat? Rick, really interesting insight on that. Let's go with 45. 45, lightning.
I'm going to give 3, Queen of Cups, 9 of Swords in reverse, and we got a 3 of Pentacles. So for me, this looks good. This looks like we're calming the masses. The cups are always about emotions. The swords, this 9 of Swords is always about anxiety, sleepless nights, but it's alleviating it when we get it in reverse. So we're bringing in this calmness, but we're also partnering. I'm telling you, I think that whoever the running mate is going to be is going to create a difference.
FTA, what do you think?
I think he's learned from past experience that, he can't come in like a New Yorker and boom, boom, boom. That's not going to sell for the rest of the country. And I think he's learned that. And I think that, I think it's going to be good too. I can't help it. That's what.
And I will say this as a strict independent, and I'm not a huge fan of 45, but I can see he's trying to be the calmer, gentler. He's not succeeding all the time, but at least he is really making an effort to try to be that candidate at times. TD, what do you got?
I think that he looks good. He is working well with others. I think he's listening to his team. I think he's been listening, that his delivery leaves a little bit to be desired. And he is correcting that this time around. As far as I have seen, I have not seen him going off like he did in 2016, during the debates.
Rick, I know you probably haven't seen anything of this yet, but I know as you look at this, and I know there's probably some very interesting opinions overseas about 45, but where do you see this in your stratosphere?
I'm sat here, and my little storyline there is going back into my own past, that somebody once said to me, just because what you're saying is true doesn't mean to say that everybody needs to hear it. So I'm looking at those cards there, sat there thinking that maybe he just needs his corners rubbing off a little bit. That more sort of feminine, understanding, sort of motherly energy about it, where he has needed to learn those lessons. I think he stands for truth and honesty, but it's sometimes an acquired taste from what I'm looking at there. And I think that the people that he's now aligning himself with is good for him. And strangely, if it's who I think we're talking about, that we were talking about off camera, then I'm looking at that and I'm thinking that he's a good bet with this. And having no knowledge of him really personally, But looking at that, yeah, there's going to be a lot of people now that's going to be placated because he's took the bumps, he's took the feedback, and he's inwardly digested it, and he's going with a slightly softer approach. But my guide is advising caution because he's talking about more faces than a chameleon. So there's still elements there of yet to be seen. And I'll leave it there rather than sort of going on blindly.
Yeah, no problem, man. We got one more to do in the lightning round, and it obviously is the sitting president, Mr. Biden. As Anna shuffles up the cards, putting 3 up there, what are you going to do as you put it in 3 piles? Well, you shuffle better than I do, and I deal poker.
Here's our judgment in reverse again.
King of Cups. Temperance. Ooh, that's interesting.
I was about to say, that's a new card. I don't think we've seen that one come up yet.
Yeah,
No.
Temperance. That is balancing between heaven and earth, conscious and subconscious. Of course, being temperate in your behavior and your activities, your drinking, eating, etc.
Fascinating card to have come out when you talk about Biden, because again, look at the balancing act he's been trying to do of late, just with what he's been dealing with certain issues in Congress.
Right. Judgment is in reverse. So, the numbers don't lie. So, the data that's going out, the data that's being presented, he's having a hard time reconciling the campaign with that, but he's still driving home with this kinder, gentler, more sensitive type of person who's looking to help, not harm. So I think it's interesting that we did get the Queen of Cups with 45, and now we're getting the King of Cups with him. It's almost like he's trying to outdo him on the kindness level. So does that work for him? We have to play that very carefully. So if this is campaign advice, things are looking really bad. People really have a negative opinion of you. Lay it on thick, be sweet, be as sweet as possible. But try and even it out.
But it's interesting because that one card coming out, one of the strengths of Biden in the past has been that he's been the sweet fatherly type, the kind of guy who, when he actually talks about personal stuff, he's at his best. And sometimes when he's trying to remember names, that's another issue. But TD, I mean, where are you at with these cards?
I think that he's trying to outdo him. He's trying to balance things. I just don't know that he's going to be able to keep both. He's not going to be able to balance it out eventually. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
It's going to come to pass, and I just don't feel he's going to be in office.
Yeah, I don't either.
Why FDA?
I just don't see him succeeding. I think physically he just doesn't he just doesn't. I don't mean to come out and say this. I mean, I don't want it to be taken. I just don't think he knows what's going on. And I think that's because of his, his obviously mental health issue. I just don't think he's, he knows what's going on. And it still upsets me that, his backers are allowing him to, to go out there, and people are, he's the butt of jokes, and it's sad. It's very sad to me. So I don't think he's gonna.
And he's trying to hold on with those cards, but he can't. He's trying to balance it.
He's trying to hold on to like nostalgia, and
it ends in heartbreak.
Yeah,
this is heartbreak. And here we've got that 5 of Wands that's in reverse. He just doesn't have the team in place. His team has abandoned him. Those that were really supportive of his initial run when he ran for president in 2019 when he started that campaign. I think the people that were on board with him, that really were the grease that made the machine go, I think they've kind of abandoned him. And if there's a failure of the campaign. I think that's it. I think key players are gone. We're not hearing that any key players are gone, though.
Right.
So 45 people leave his team. It's front page news. We all hear about
absolutely.
it, but we're not hearing about the people that are abandoning the Biden team. But there is this desperate trying to hold on, trying to go in a different direction, trying to formulate a new response. And I just don't. I think a little of the old and a little of the new is a good idea,
right.
but the execution is just not there. We're just not getting it. So. Yeah. So
I go to Rick because he's the complete outsider in this whole world, literally and figuratively. What do you got, Rick?
You're gonna love this then.
Good.
What coming up with, because we're back into wrestling territory again.
You speak my language. Go for it, baby.
And I'm looking at these 3 cards, and I've got this image of Ric Flair in my mind. That Ric Flair is all enduring. He goes from various different genres and ages and things like that. But to be absolutely 100% truthful, as a huge wrestling fan, he should have been put out to pasture years ago.
I can't argue with that. It's true.
So when I'm looking at these cards, I feel like, and this is where I'm picking up on the sadness, that I feel like he's between 2 worlds.
Yes.
And
yes.
He's been put out as a product that originally, when it was working and it was fresh, it was good because he had the right people there to make up for any shortfalls. But when you're abandoned and you're up there in the spotlight and nobody's giving you guidance, you sort of got a foot in both camps. And what was brought in for me, there's a book over here that I read when I was a kid called The Faraway Tree. And the Faraway Tree, what it was the world that everybody inhabited. And then every now and again at the top of the tree came another world that you got a short chance to visit before it moved on with something. And it's just that thing that he's sort of got his head in the faraway tree and then his feet in the grounded part. And somebody ought to say to him and gently lead him away and just basically put him out to pasture. Because I agree with that last card there. If somebody doesn't take care of him, it is going to end in heartbreak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have you noticed we're not having the normal campaigning that's gone on before, right? We've seen no one on the road speaking at different places except for who? Trump.
Trump's still doing the rallies, not as many. Biden is not doing as much. And to further the point, how many debates have we seen now in the last month and a half? 0.
Well, the last election, we don't get debates anymore.
Right. Well, that's going to be an interesting question when we get down to it, when we know who the candidates are. Will there even be a debate? Based on what I'm feeling here and knowing that this is so untraditional that way, we may not even get one.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think President Biden can hold up to a debate at all. I just think that would be disaster. So,
and it's cruel. It's just too cruel for me. I mean, if they make him do that, that's despicable. It really is.
Well, the interesting thing is, so far with the Democrats, we've seen one debate, and it was over a candidate that's no longer a candidate, DeSantis, and the representative from the Democrats was Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, that was bizarre.
That was definitely one of those moments where you sit there and go, this election is definitely not the traditional election cycle we're used to. Might be the perfect way to go out on.
Right, it might be, unless you want to do a Super Bowl prediction.
You know that? There we go. There's a good wrap up. Super Bowl coming up.
I don't even know who's playing.
In the big game, the Kansas City Chiefs, because I don't know if we can legally say SB, but it's the Kansas City Chiefs. It's the San Francisco 49ers. We can put some cards out for this?
We absolutely can.
Oh, good Lord. Here's a great way to wrap up.
So let's look at the first half.
Okay.
This is a special treat for you, Rob.
I appreciate that. Considering I've not laid any bets on this game yet, hint.
Have you not?
I'm not yet. Not yet.
Anna, hook him up.
Yeah, really.
So let's do first half. We said Kansas City and San Francisco, right?
Correct.
All right. So Kansas City first half.
Oh.
Ooh. E.
That's interesting because I have no idea what the 3 cards. You're like, ooh, E. I'm like, oh, Kansas City's not going to do well in the first half, is what you're saying.
So, The Eight of Cups. I always tell people this Eight of Cups, Rob. This is like if you're in a relationship,
right?
You're leaving a good relationship. It might not be light and young fire every single day. You're leaving something meh for something maybe, like a big question mark. You're leaving it.
Terrific. I'm leaving a 5 for a 6. This is great.
No, exactly. That's a good way of looking at it.
Thank you.
So when it's in reverse, this is not really being prepared for what's ahead. I know that sounds terrible.
Mm-hmm.
This 10 of Cups to me says that they may not have the whole pack ready to go. Is anybody out on injury?
Not that I know of, but I know Kansas City's offense has not gelled as well this year as they have in past years. They've been living more on their defense.
That might be it. However, despite all that, I think that the first half is going to be good for Kansas City. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think
it's going to be tight.
It's going to be tight. I think it's going to be tight. I think they're going to do well right up to halftime.
See, if this were World Cup, I'd go to Rick right now and be like going, all right, which country's winning, Rick? But I mean.
So I think it gets really interesting here with San Francisco. So Rick, do you want to Kansas City football decide first half?
Right. I know less about American football than I do about politics, but I'm looking at that and I just listened to the narration that was going on in my head there, and I'm looking at that and I'm just going, unhappy families, like you were saying there, non-preparation, sort of average, meh, and then what was shouted at me with the Ace of Cups there, even though it's in the right position, was that there'll be tears before halftime. So somebody there, I don't know whether there's potential for injury or there's somebody out there that's winging it a little bit, that they're not as fit as what they're making out to be. But I think with that one, it will cost them.
It's interesting because there would be cheers before halftime, but Travis Kelce gets hurt because that means Taylor Swift's boyfriend is out of the game. Just saying.
Just saying.
Just saying.
We can take a look at him.
Oh.
So over here for San Francisco, I think San Francisco is a bit more solid on this. So the Four of Cups, when we look at that, the Four of Cups is you've got your ducks in a row, but you're kind of dreamy and kind of trying to figure out what's going to be your next thing. When it gets in reverse, we're prepped. We're ready to go. We know what we want. We're driving to the goalpost.
To the end zone.
The end zone.
There you go. No problem.
We're driving to the touchdown. So we're driving to that. They are going to amp up in. So even though Kansas City is probably going to be on top, you can write this down. Even though they're probably going to be on top at halftime, at the halftime bell whistle, I think that San Francisco is going to demonstrate a real hard court press. That was a basketball reference.
That was
a hard court press to the end. So they're gonna shine brighter. They're gonna have more points, I think, at the end of the first half. Anybody else wanna throw their bets in on this?
Literally.
No, I think San Francisco is gonna. They're gonna show. I feel that, like, especially with the Chariot there, they're going to. They're gonna. Yeah.
Kind of
I can't think of the word I wanted to say.
All right, so let's see what the second half's going to be like. How we're going to finish up.
Really, I'm about to say, but based on the first half, I'm going. Does that mean I bet the Niners?
Giants.
Well, no, well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I could really mess you up. How about the Chicago Cubs? Anyway,
Hey, I still want my New York Giants. I'm still.
You know what? That'll be. We'll do a round table before the season starts in 24 for sure.
That or my New York Mets. I'm a Met fan.
Oh,
I'm more of a baseball fan than a football fan. So
it's funny. FTA and I got something in common. We're Mets fans. We know two things all too well: pain and suffering. But that's
exactly.
True.
There's always tomorrow.
I've been saying that since '86. Anyway,
I know that's true. Yeah, but
Kansas City, I have a Page of Wands in reverse, guys.
Ooh.
Is that our hot shot going down? Is he going to be benching it?
What? No, they're not going to bench Travis Kelce unless
What if
he's
he
hurt.
gets hurt with ice?
The two main players for them is Travis Kelce and their quarterback Patrick Mahomes. If one of those two goes down, that's the end for Kansas City, without a doubt.
All right.
Well, somebody's going to get hurt.
Ooh.
Somebody's going to get hurt. Let's see if it's Travis.
Okay, how are we going to know? I'll see.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Explain, because I don't know.
Magician doesn't have all his ducks in a row. The magician has all of his
The magician on that team is Patrick Mahomes, without a doubt.
Magician in reverse.
Oh, yeah, the quarterback. The quarterback, for sure. He's the magician on that team.
Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't look good.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, I pulled the magician for Travis.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're saying that it's maybe you're getting a little psychic.
Well, maybe I am. But see, the minute you said magician, and you've ever watched Patrick Mahomes, that's what a lot of people think he is. He's just an absolute magician at quarterback. He makes throws that the normal quarterback, you go, how did he do that? I don't know how he did it. So when you said that, that's the first thing that comes to mind.
So if I see you, we're getting psychic.
Oh.
Getting psychic, guys. If we put this together, this five of sorts means that he didn't have the support that he needed. So if he's throwing
that would fall into the Kelce category as the support guy because he's throwing to Travis. I get you. Okay.
So that looks like I hate to say fumble.
Oh, that would turn the game around. That would.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Play a solid second half.
Okay.
They're still going to play a good, clean game.
Mm-hmm.
We got the Knight of Pentacles here.
Mm-hmm.
So they're carrying the ball, but
that's very interesting because one of the things Kansas City's done better this year than in past years is run the football because they've keyed on their quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, more frequently than they ever have in any season.
Okay. So over here, it looks like San Francisco is going to start out second half, not a little discombobulated. Yeah. Maybe they cooled down a little too much in the locker room.
They've had that happen a few times this year.
They're still going to carry the ball well. But this is where I'm not sure. I am not sure if the Knight trumps the Ace of Pentacles, and I want to lean into my psychic team and see what you guys think.
Well, I need all the help I can get. I haven't placed a bet yet, so now comes the question. Is it Kansas City or San Francisco based on the cards? FTA, what do you got?
I see Kansas City winning.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I see them, but that's what I'm feeling.
TD, are you with that? Or are you going San Francisco based on the cards?
I'm going San Francisco.
I think Rick, you're going to have to break this tie because I'm the one that's got to make the bet.
Who's the team on the right?
This is San Francisco. I think it's San Francisco too.
Yeah, because I'm looking at that team on the team on the left and the cards there, and what went through my head was: is there somebody there that's kind of? I think it was said in the World Cup that all the stars need a water carrier. So is there somebody there that's kind of like undiscovered, that's not like a real star? Because I'm looking at that card in the middle there on the left and thinking that it's somebody's time to shine. And they're going to yield good results eventually, but just not at that particular moment. I think their time is yet to come. And I'm looking at that and I get a better vibration on the one on the right there, where I'm thinking new money, new opportunities, and a newness coming in. It's kind of like sweeping the board. Once they've got, okay, thank you. My guy just said, somebody up there with that top card needs to get the head out of their ass. And
I could actually break down a little bit of what you're saying, because what you were saying is the potential future star on this team is a running back by the name of Isaiah Pacheco, who has carried a little more of the load than he has previous years when Kansas City's won the Super Bowl. So he is a star in the making, but not a star yet, to interpret what you're saying. And going over here, getting their head out of their ass. That was last week with San Francisco when they were trailing. They had never come back the whole season, and they literally had to get their head out of there, you-know-what, to win and get themselves into the Super Bowl. And that's been the question with San Francisco. Can they do it for 4 quarters? So to interpret what he's saying, I'm betting San Francisco, obviously.
All right.
I figured it out.
Don't hold me to it, though.
I will let everybody know, but I will definitely place the bet on the 49ers for sure. And that is a wrap on this pilot episode of the Psychic News Universe. And you'll get more stuff like this in the future. FTA, thank you for checking in from Florida. We'll have you back again soon. TD, your Instagram account again, title is?
Tarot Destiny altogether.
And to my man, Rick Paul, the book is Graceful Thoughts. It's available on Amazon. Please go out and buy it and give some support to a man who has been touring throughout the UK, and we got to get him here in the States at some point. Rick, a pleasure.
Thank you. It's been amazing. Thank you guys for having me on.
Oh, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it.
We're gonna launch this. We're recording today on the 8th, but we're gonna launch it on Lunar New Year tomorrow on February 9th.
Ooh.
So just a reminder to everybody, you should not clean on Lunar New Year. You should wear something red. You should also have all of your bills paid.
Okay.
And you should eat something long, like noodles for long life, longevity, good things like that. You know, it's all good fun. So we're going to try and do this once a month. Hopefully we're going to get our guy Thor back here.
Yes.
Alicia Wicker is interested in coming on as well. So we've got some really cool people that we're going to bring into this. Coming up next week, Rick Paul and I are going to set up a schedule. We're going to do some lives together. So we're going to do like a lunchtime live for UK time. So it should be pretty cool. And this is great. I've been trying to get Rob to work with me for years. So thank you everybody for being a part of this. Thank you for all the viewers. Please like, share, and subscribe to all of us. You know, one of my things, I really missed not having a Christmas party or a holiday party this year. So this is really my my sneak attack to get everybody to have a holiday party on YouTube and Facebook. So thank you so much, everybody, for doing this. This is super cool. It went great. I'm really happy. So thank you.
So until the next time we all meet, we will see you in the future.
Bye.